Hello YouTube. Today was EMDR session 11 and we processed fear of ghosts. Yes, I'm 41 years old and I thought I had a fear of ghosts. So I asked my EMDR therapist to go over it because ghosts can mean many things. It can be real ghosts. It can be fear of the unknown. It could be fear of death. It could be people leaving you. It could be being alone. So the surface level issue is always there. What's underneath is what you need the therapist for, to help you to go into your subconscious mind and work out the negative cognition. Funnily enough, I went to a talk on Carl Jung just recently, and it was about dreams and the psychology of your dreams. And a lot of people in the audience had questions about dreams. And I wondered, because the biggest thing I had as a child was dreams of ghosts. And I wondered if EMDR, if you could go back to a memory that is actually a dream. EMDR in itself is eye movement desensitization. It's literally REM you do when you're asleep. So can it work with dreams? My therapist said, yeah, because it's a memory of a dream. So it's still a memory. And ultimately, when you have a nightmare, your brain is trying to process something, but because you get scared, you wake up and it interrupts the process. So going back to it as an adult works perfectly, exactly the same as it does when you have a trauma. The trauma happens, you create a negative cognition, and your brain then goes into processing. And you get PTSD. It keeps bringing back the memory. You keep being triggered. It keeps coming back so that you can process. But every time you get processed, you get consumed by emotions and are unable to process. And therefore, you have this issue because of an original trauma. And this is why EMDR is so powerful, because it helps you to let go of the negative cognition and in place put in a positive cognition. And it helps those two parts of the brain, the amygdala and the hippocampus, to have that conversation that they would have had if you were able to process it in the first instance. So it's really powerful. And interestingly, in today's session, I have just broken up with my partner. So yesterday, it's very raw and I'm very emotional about it, quite understandably. And today's session made me realize that one of the fears that I had was being alone. And it made me also realize that some of the things that she required in the relationship from me were because of her trauma, which makes me see that if I'm moving towards someone to stop me being alone, it's to stop me having those negative feelings by myself. If she's leaning to me to have me help her with her emotions, she's leaning to me to help her deal with her own stuff also. Now, the pair of us shouldn't be going to each other to help us deal with anything. We should be dealing with these on our own, being a whole conscious human being, joining with another whole conscious human being. And if you come together and you find deep connection, that is real love. So in having that penny drop, just as I did my EMDR processing, it's already alleviated some of the feelings. And it was just yesterday. And of course, I'm going to be sad, because losing anybody from your life, there's a reason they were in your life. There's always some positives. There's some lovely memories. And there's the hope that you had for the future. And I have to let all of that go. If, for example, the person in question was to do their own therapy and then deal with all the things that they came to me for, then they would no longer need me. And this is the point. When you have someone who doesn't need you, but they want you, and they want you for all the positive things that you brought to their life, or the positive person that you are, and they accept you for who you are, then you can come together and you can grow with real love, and then you can plan and create a future together based on you being your whole self and them being their whole self. Now, me having dealt with my fear of being alone, which I didn't even know I had, I became vulnerable and I opened up my heart to this person and I gave them everything that I could. And I tried to be what they needed to fix all of these things. But I wasn't needed, because what they need is to deal with that on their own. And not being needed and not being responsible for someone else left me. So if I let go of the feeling of being okay on my own, now I'm whole. I'm fine on my own. I don't need anyone. Therefore, I'm not going to have someone who takes away my peace, someone who doesn't appreciate me, someone who doesn't respect my boundaries, if I am fine on my own, then I'm not going to accept that level of a person. So now that that's who I am, I've raised the bar, right? And this person over here can keep raising the bar, and we could meet each other again if we both raised our bars to be at the same point. But if we don't, there'll be a whole load of other people up here who will be on this level that I will meet, and vice versa for her, whatever level she's at. There isn't a higher or lower, there is just where we're at. And I'm grateful for this lesson, for everything that this relationship has brought to me, because pretty much all of my EMDR sessions have been chosen by a trigger caused in that relationship. Now, I know so many people say, oh, you should be alone, you should be alone. And, I get that you need to be alone. I get that you need to do the work. But you can also avoid being in relationships, because relationships cause you to see your shadows, right? So if you avoid being in them, there's no one to trigger you. So you can feel like you're fine. So you need to be in a relationship to be triggered. And it's not that you need a relationship. You can have plenty of time on your own, but at some point, a relationship will trigger you, whether it be a friendship, whether it be a partner, whether it be a parent or a child, one of your children, you will be triggered. And when you are triggered, that is when you go within. What is it about this that is causing me this feeling? And own it. Be accountable, be conscious, and then take it to your therapy and work on it to heal. Because that uncomfortable feeling is literally your body telling you what's going on. And when you go towards it and you heal it with therapy, that uncomfortable feeling goes and you can have peace. So you find peace yourself. Someone doesn't come into your life to give you peace. When you find the peace yourself, someone will come into your life, and if they match you on the same level, you can have peace together. And you can have fire together, and you can have passion together, and you can have whatever it is that brings you together that isn't your trauma. I don't know what I'm going to do next session. I thought this session on ghosts wasn't about my partner. I thought it was something completely separate. It's something that I wrote down when I first came into therapy. These are things I want to look at. And then as therapy went on, I changed my mind, and I kept bringing to the sessions things that had gone through in my relationship. So this one, with us just having broken up, I said, I don't know what I want to do today. So how about we just do the original plan, because it's got nothing to do with the relationship. And turns out it has. Turns out I had fear of fear, right? Because one of the actual memory that I had was of me seeing a ghost. So whether you believe about ghosts or not, I had an experience. So I had the fear of the fear. Whereas when I did my EMDR session and you do the eye processing, I thought to myself, well, what if the next thing actually happened? And then I'd have the real fear. Like I used to be scared of going on aeroplanes. Right? I used to be scared of turbulence before it happened. I was scared before I got on the plane. Then I was scared in the queue. Then I was scared on the plane before any turbulence happened. Whereas when actual turbulence happens, yeah, there's fear. But it's real fear. It's real turbulence. It comes and it goes, and you're fine, hopefully. So I had fear of the fear, which meant every time I was on a plane, I had this level of fear. Whereas if I could just put that fear down, if a real turbulence happened, I'd have actual fear with the real turbulence, and then it would come down. And this is a real thing for me. I used to be scared on airplanes for that reason. And now the ghost thing, how many times have I seen a ghost in my life? Once. How many times have I been scared of ghosts? More than 10. So if you look at it that way, if I just relax my fear of the fear, if I see a ghost in the future, I may be scared. If I see a ghost in the future, I may not be scared. I may have a chat with it, become friends with it. If it's one of my family members, I might have a reconnection. So I could be scared, but I could also have a positive outcome. And so therefore, the fear that was over here, the irrational fear, the fear of nothing, because there's nothing happening, is the fear of fear. I've let this go now. So that fear of being alone, there isn't a fear of being alone. And actually, in this house, particularly right now, when my daughter's not here, there are more dead people in this house than there are alive. There's me. I'm alive, by the way. There's my dad, his ashes, and there's my dog, her ashes. So although my dog isn't a person, there's 2 lots of ashes, and then there's me who's alive. So I'm actually not alone. And even if my company just is the dead people, they are there. And I know some of you are spiritual. You probably wouldn't bump into this page if you weren't spiritual, because you wouldn't be on my algorithms or my frequency or whatever it is. And so if you do cards, if you do tarot cards, if you see a clairvoyant, then you believe in something, because where do the answers come from? Why is it yesterday did my cards pop out with the heartbreak card, and I put it back in and I asked for more clarity, and I shuffled and shuffled and shuffled, and it jumped out of me. It jumped out the same card, the heartbreak card. How does that happen? Coincidence? Or some energy, some influence that we can't see in this 3D world influencing the card that came out? So if you believe in that, then you can believe that we're never actually alone. And spirits and ghosts aside, you're also never alone within yourself. If you believe in the therapy IFS, internal family systems, within this one physical body, you have all your inner children. So all of the ages that you've ever been, you are. Some people go as far as to say all the ages you ever will be, you are. You didn't expect that in this video, did you? It's psychology, it's therapy, it's spirituality, but ultimately they are actually the same. It used to be psychology and science were separate, and then certain people like Bruce Lipton, who bridged the gap. Bruce Lipton, The Biology of Belief, excellent book, by the way, bridged that gap, and now a lot of psychotherapists, psychologists. So yeah, nice session. Oh, she's also given me, I haven't tried it yet, so let me know if you try it. One of the things I'm doing for a daily practice is meditation to keep. I am waffling now, so I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.